I just shared now where the people can start to interact with us. Yes, here we are. Let me start the presentation.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. You know, one of the things that we've over the years is that there is really a need for us to better understand where artificial intelligence comes from and really what the value of the data that we've been giving to systems like Facebook and Google over the years comes from. So why don't we go on to this first slide here? You know, what we need to really recognize, user data is currently the single most valuable commodity in the world, more so than, for example, oil, more so than any other resource that's out there. And you know, that's kind of funny because Pokemon, for example, ended up really just being a means by which Google Tango, Project Tango, which was collecting real world 3D data, it was a means by which people were able to go out and collect that user data for Google. They were one of the investors in the company that issued this. Now, if we go on to the next slide, what we have here is what have these companies that have been collecting our data over the years done with this? First off, we can see that there's a tremendous amount of value that goes in. That value is then capitalized by these oligopolies. Facebook's revenues, look at that, it's gone up 30 billion. Google also, longer period of time, 3 times. Let's go on to the next slide. You'll see here, what's interesting about this is that these really are able, these pieces of user data are able to generate incredible sets of dialogue couplings and really build ways in which human data can be automated. Mark Zuckerberg on April 12th said, we will be able to talk to chatbots just as we do with friends. Okay, off we go to slide 5, please. We have a question then that comes up. If bots are able to do, and we can talk to bots just like we do with friends, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, probably something in between. All right, next one here, we'll see that part of the problem that this introduces is that bots are now doing tasks people have done. But enough is the democratization of AI. Okay, next one. Now, the core problem which we want to really clearly frame is that bots are now doing what people have done. And we're going to come back to this, okay? Let's go on to the next one. A bot is not artificial intelligence. A bot is a conversational user interface for artificial intelligence. Now, I'll see on the next slide, if we break bots down, we have the words to use, and that's how we can type back and forth with the bot, and the bot can respond. We have assistants, such as Amazon Alexa, Cortana, Siri, and the like, and there, the assistant is able to also use the modality of voice. So we can hear what the system is saying, the system can hear what we're saying, and we interact verbally. Avatars and video chatbots that we're considering here have faces. They're able to use facial expressions, shrug, gestures, thumbs up, thumbs down, and actually build in a graphical interface. Okay, if we go to the next slide, you'll see that this really presents a range of problems. I'm going to break this problem down a little bit more. What this does is that bots are representing a loss of jobs, which presents an imbalance of wealth. There's a loss of privacy, which presents an imbalance of governance. And there's a loss of control, which presents an imbalance of power. So artificial intelligence on the back end, which is driving the front end bot, these inherent problems of jobs, privacy, and control built into them. So let's take a look at this. First off, in terms of the loss of jobs, we can see that on this next slide, please. Thanks, Thomas. We can see that there is a 43% afraid of losing their job to AI. That's for work. More actually in England, where 57% of workers are concerned. On the next slide here, part of the problem is the loss of control. And as we have more and more automated solutions which are making decisions for us, we have some very extreme things occurring, such as in San Francisco, bots have been determining if people should be released from bail. That kind of predictive policing and these quote unquote algorithmic bail hearings remove the control and responsibility of the court and even the individuals, and they delegate that to artificial intelligence. On the next slide, we also have to mention the imbalance. And here, with something like Facebook, we can see targeted advertising, which is the Torch open source system, textual analysis, or the deep text, and facial analysis, which is deep face, means that Facebook has an enormous amount of information about who we are, what we're doing, and most importantly, why we're making those decisions. They use artificial intelligence to collect our end user data and then make predictive modeling. And that's an imbalance of power. Now, even if you look at, for example, the use of targeted advertising in which the system says, hey, you're interested in the bottish conference, here is something about bots that you might want to purchase, there is a subversion of the end user will, which basically that AI system is really changing what you do and how you think. Every minute, 1.2 billion are uploading photos and updating their status 293 times. It's a lot of information that Facebook is gathering about us. But there's something more about bots. And if we look at the next slide, it's a loss of privacy as well. At Botanic, we've developed a number of healthcare use cases. People manage their stress or manage, for example, what prescriptions are taking for non-compliancy or reducing 30-day readmission to hospital check-in. And interestingly, 85% of the users would rather tell a bot about their healthcare problems than they would a person because they don't want to be judged by a person. And 82% of users are more likely to follow directions from the bot than they are to follow the directions from an actual human doctor, which means not only is it a loss of privacy, but this really introduces some interesting ethical problems as well. And then if we go on to the next slide here, you'll see that there is, as we know from the American, English, and French national elections, there's actually bots and of our ability to govern ourselves. Bots had an impact on these elections, and they were being used as media mechanisms, very much like the newspaper has been used during the civil war of multiple countries, or the way in which the spring. Bots now are influencing that stuff. And so bots are influencing our ability to govern ourselves. All right, but here's the thing. Bots aren't going away anytime soon. We can see that the bot market is going to be roughly tripling here within the next 3 years. And we all know bots, well, many of them these days suck. And that's the case forever. For myself, in 17 years of developing bots, I've seen them gradually get better, gradually get smarter, and as more user data is available, gradually influence the end user more about what the system should do and what the end user should do. This also means that AI will impact 47% of jobs by 2025. You'll notice that that's an interesting correspondence to the number of people in the United States that are concerned about losing their job, but maybe those jobs aren't going to be lost, but they will be impacted. And by 2020, according to Gartner, 30% of our interaction with the web and the internet. Okay, so let's take a look. These are some of the problems ahead of us. Now let's take a look and consider some solutions. First, trust mechanisms can be deployed across a range of different models. And we'll be talking about trust mechanisms that are technical, that are psychological, and that are social. We need to be able to trust AI, and we need to be able to trust bots, and we need to do it through democratization. So next slide, please, Thomas. You'll see here that we have at Botanic, after decades worth of development, we have a core platform that is able to run across multiple operating systems, multiple desktop systems, and multiple channels such as Slack, Skype, and we're recently doing a build for Monash University on Signal. Go on to the next slide. And here is an example of one of the third generation bots we've built. You might remember that we were talking about the avatar as a multimodal system in which it's able to serve as a chat bot and can type. You can speak with it via telephone, essentially, just like Alexa. Here we see the bot really in its full glory. Very proud of this build as a conversational avatar. We used Microsoft Cognitive Services on the back end, so the system was able to, and the end user in talking with the system was also able to see the characters that presented various aspects of the graphical user interface. Now, the reason we did this, and let's go on to the next slide here, is that we don't communicate the way that we used to. Back in the day, shepherd, and the shepherd would say, "Hail, farmer," and those words and sounds and gestures were packed together into a single interaction. You'll see on the next slide here, modern media and digital technology liquidates the different means of communicating into different channels, where now the words are input, in which we use natural language understanding and intent recognition via voice recognition and automated speech recognition. And the other part of input, well, we have the face and the computer vision. That input is modeled by the system and by the back-end AI components that are there, so that a multimodal bot such as Andy is able to respond by saying, "Hello, Michael," and we have the natural language generation, the text-to-speech, and also a resource called Actor, which provides real-time animation of the avatar. So software today is able to measure us and analyze us with these methods. If you go on to the next slide here, you'll see this is a mock-up of what the system might be seeing, and a build that we did a number of years ago, in which Carol here on the left is a smoker. She's talking with Andy here on the right, who's helping her quit smoking. And when the system is looking at Carol's face, it's able to measure the position of her face and her facial expressions via computer vision. And that is a very important thing to do, because you can't see my face right now, but if I make a funny face or I frown, it has an impact on what I'm saying. Just as, for example, our words, if I say, "I love public speaking," you can tell from my tone of voice that it's more sincere. But if I roll my eyes and I make a funny face speaking, well, it has a totally different meaning. That affective meaning is what indicates the emotion that somebody has, and able to predict with appropriate systems in place what they will be doing next. That end user data is critical. So we're going to come back to a slide here on the next slide, please, Thomas. We're going to come back to this image before. Who has the best AI systems on the planet? Well, it's Facebook and Google. That's all of this important end user data. And also, as we saw earlier, Facebook has a lot of bots here. If we go on to the next slide, there's something that I want to dip into really quickly, which is that we need to have license plates for bots. This is the last talk that I gave on bottish. I was very glad to be here. Thank you, Thomas, for that instance and for having us back again. The key is that there are over 100,000 chatbots on Facebook Messenger. There are actually many more than that now. I've understood that there's more than 500,000. The number is growing, and we expect it to triple. Those bots need license plates. They need authentication, and key to building trusted interactions of bots and trusted interaction with artificial intelligence. So what do we do with this? Let's go to the next slide. And we are now looking at blockchain as, curiously, something that has arrived just in time to solve many of the problems that we outlined above that artificial intelligence introduces. What we can do is we can monetize open. We're able to take open source technologies, and by using blockchain to determine who contributed which bits of technology to that open source, we can remunerate end users for what they've contributed to data, and we can remunerate developers, analysts, deployers, and even advertisers for the data and for the tool sets that they contribute. So the diagram on the left, you'll see, shows how there's a user, number one, and that user, for example, in this instance, they're very public with their data. They're perfectly happy to share their public data, and speaking or whatever they say, such as "I want to buy pizza," then that information can go into an economy just like Facebook and Google has, only instead of Mark Zuckerberg being able to capture it, we can keep it open source for the community. Now, there might be a second user where they don't really want to share their data, but they're not really too concerned about privacy either. They can leave it in a central setting. And down below, the third user, for example, they might really want to have highly privatized, obfuscated, or perhaps a kind of privacy that's differential, in which they don't want the bot to know who they are and what they want. Now, in the instance of user number one, who's publicly sharing their data, that user can be remunerated and paid for sharing their data, unlike on Facebook today. Or in the case of user three that really wants to be highly private, that person would pay so that they can retain their privacy. The bot is then able to exchange information back and forth. And as developers contribute templates for conversations or templates for personalities, other developers can build on top of the page. Some people can contribute some information to the bot's knowledge base. Other people can build on top of it. And that shared asset is then something that's able to remunerate people, both the end users and the developers. So let's go on to the next slide. A very important project for us, and we've been very happy to partner with Seed Token. Seedtoken.io is, please visit this website. I'll come back to it in a few minutes. Seed Token has taken this conceptual model very seriously, and over the last year has been working to build out all of the legal, technical, and social infrastructure to facilitate this. This trust-based ecosystem of bot developers and deployers and end users is going to be based on the Seed token. And that's a blockchain-based ERC20 Ethereum token that Seed will be stewarding going forward as it develops the community. But what does this look like? What kind of stuff will Seed be offering? Let's go to the next slide, please, Thomas. There's going to be, for example, a bot store. In order for bot developers to really make the bots that they built available, well, we have the App Store available. We have to be able to look. This is a mock-up, by the way. This is currently not operational. We'll be developing this over the next year. Essentially, in that bot store, we can see the name of the bot, how many users there are that have used it, how many authors have contributed to it, an overview of what it is, and a buy button. You can license and actually also edit that bot for your own purposes. So this is a bot store that allows developers and deployers to share the assets that those bots are built by, and to allow a ranking and a rating system, really, so that those. Now remember, these are authenticated bots. These aren't just bots that are running wild without somebody attached to them. We know who built these bots, and because they're trust-based, we know really what the end user experience has been prior to purchasing, just like you would on the App Store. There's a couple of different images in what we'll be calling Greenhouse that we're skipping over here. But in the next slide, you'll see that we have an image of basically what an end user profile might look like. To a range of different channels such as Facebook or Twitter, Slack. And also when you talk with the bot, you can determine whether you want to give away your data and be public about it, or you want to give away some money and be private about it. In any case, that ecosystem is represented by a chain network, and that means that you have a Seed wallet. And as a member of that ecosystem, whether you're a developer, a deployer, or an end user, you receive and send Seed tokens according to how you've been using these systems. Let's go down one more here, Thomas, and let's take a look at how this ecosystem works. We have different means of paying, of rating, and exchanging user data. Now, at its simplest level, we can think of the user data as being of core value, and it's remunerated via payment. Sometimes I get very confused with this, and I think, what really are these guys at Seed developing? Because it gets so complicated, but it's actually quite simple. If you think about how there are people that are experts and there are people that are learners, such as a doctor and a patient, then you can see that conversation is valuable to both parties. The doctor is what the knowledge that that doctor is sharing is very valuable to the patient, but the patient also represents a great value to the doctor. Without the patient, the doctor couldn't exist. So if we think of it even even simpler, more abstract level, consider a conference, and that also pay to both speak and to listen. So really what we're looking at, simply put, is a dialogue market. And to manage the payments and the user data and how those are being passed in between the different entities. The ratings are very important because that allows the bots and the authors and all of the developers and deployers and even advertisers validated, and we can say this is a quality bot. In the licensing terms, this bot says it's going to be providing legal advice or financial. After users have used that bot and interacted with it, then those users can go back and rate it. And this chart shows how we've considered, with the help of Imperial College and many others, very experienced in this space, essentially gaming mechanisms. We need to be careful not to deploy. We bot experts are using bots to downrank other bot experts, or vice versa, to uprank bots that perhaps shouldn't deserve it. So if we go on to the last slide, please, here, there are several things that we're proposing at Seed Token. Nathan, and you can learn more over at seedtoken.io. There will be intellectual property and source code that's going to be rolled out. Bot platforms, templates, content, analytics methods, and interfaces to advanced artificial intelligence systems that we've interfaced with in the past. There's governance structure that's been built in. This Seed Token is represented by Seed Vault, which is a Singapore-based legal entity, and we've been very careful over the last year to make sure that all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. The governance is very solid. We're looking at ways in which the governance is able to help the community grow via partnerships with, for example, Bottish and other that are corporate companies that need to have bots developed for them. And then also entities where perhaps these are analytics companies, perhaps they are companies that are able to provide advertising revenues. And each of us, as we develop our bots, can participate in competitions and in foundation projects. So we can now wrap this up. One more slide here before the close. So the problem really is that bots are now doing tasks that people have done. That means that artificial intelligence is introducing ethical problems via the imbalance of wealth and power. We need to take been given to social media systems back. We need to democratize artificial intelligence via psychological, social, and technical mechanisms. And Seed Token's presenting a model by which to do that. So final, we can get back onto hopefully a better connection than I'm able to provide. Thank you very much. I'm Mark Stephen Meadows, CEO from Botanic.io, and also hope you can meet at some point Nathan Shedroff, the executive director at Seed Token as well. So thank you again, and Thomas, there we can wrap that up. Okay, how was that?
Yeah, yeah. No, the question is more how I was doing your slides. No, sometimes too early or too late. Yeah, no. Thanks again, and there's a good reason why we finish, not only because of the logical order of the presentations we had. We had it like we talked first about future of work, and then we had about cybersecurity, about ethical questions as well, and then voice apps and all the data. And yes, quite happy that we are having a closer collaboration together with you as bottish community. So all you out here, our members, our participants, you will get more information about our collaboration together with you in these initiatives. And really looking forward, because I think as you mentioned before, it's a very urgent need to do something to change the world now and not when it's too late. So very happy having you with us again, and thanks for your presentation. And if I'm checking now, people are I think blasted because by now we don't have any questions or comments. But yeah, I think anything to add, I'm really excited about what will come and happy to share more information as well about our collaboration, how you guys, our members and participants, can contribute and support us to get it reality.
Thank you, Thomas. It's interesting. I think that there's ahead of us, and we have an enormous amount of development to do. We all know that computers will be speaking, and we all know that the dreams of science fiction will come real. I think that it's really incumbent on us to say not just what can we do with it, but how are we able to really share the wealth that we enjoy and share the technology that we enjoy so that it's benefiting more than just the people, for example, in Silicon Valley or in small conferences, where we need to really recognize that the benefits of artificial intelligence and distributed learning is something that can radically improve the nature of education and commerce work and many other things, moving that forward. And at seedtoken.io, we will, of course, have forums that are there and ways we can continue to carry forward this conversation. So thank you. It's great to be here, and really an honor to present this. Thank you, Thomas.
No, thanks you again. And we get you more informed or we give you more information after our conference, like some in the next 2 weeks. And by the way, if you haven't registered now for our community, best you go and join Bottish, and it's like as the link. I just make it here as well. That it's like this: join Bottish CO.
Great.
Okay, it should appear now. So if you want to see like all the replays, all the presentations we had, and want to get informed about what comes next, so best you join Bottish. So use this link, join Bottish CO, and please do it this week. So we will send out then all the information and gather all the information together. But it's like call to action. Please do it now and don't wait 2 weeks more. But it's easy. You need just little information about an email, how we can reach you, and that's it. Yes. So
we noticed, by the way, a couple of questions are coming in. By the way, here it looks like
now I see it. Yes, absolutely.
So one of them here is, can we buy seed tokens already? And yes, we are working right now on pre-sales for the token. Somebody would like to join us, then we have emails for various roles of people that would like to come in earlier, and just go over to seedtoken.io, send us a note there, and let us know how you'd like to participate. So yes, we can buy seed tokens already. These are pre-sales, and we will be presenting the public token sales in June. So get in while you can. There's a discount, and we really look forward to distributing the tokens, the bulk of them, for the community during the public sale later. Also, Gustavo, thank you very much. It's great to be here, and hello to Brazil from here in La Paz, Mexico.
Yeah, this is quite amazing international coverage we have. We have from all over the world people joining. But I believe this is exactly the reality, because this is something with international impact we are talking about here. So really excited what will come next. I'm very happy having you all with us for our 6th edition, which will close now. And really looking forward to the next one, which will be April 26th. And by the way, we will go to Australia. Not physically, unfortunately, but time-wise. So we will have the next edition. We'll start 9 a.m. Central European time because there are a lot of great folks as well, like in all Australia or this time zone, and we want to cover them as well. So yes, from Mallorca as well, yes, for sure. Cool. So we have a lot of people now joining, commenting. Thanks again for being with us. And yeah, talk to you soon. Don't forget to register. either for Seed and as well for Bottish to stay up to date. And thanks again for being with us. Wishing you a great end of the week. And yeah, talk to you soon again.
Okay, bye. Thanks again,
Okay,
Thomas.
thanks.